You know, we have been talking about content creation, we have been talking about content distribution. I want to ask you something, and I want to start by asking you this. How often do you get told by your team that one of your leading shows are ended up on Telegram?
Uh, the sad fact is that nowadays, because we go digital first, even before our programs hit the television, it is on the pirate sites. So that is the unfortunate circumstances we are living in. Earlier, when it used to be broadcasted, only first broadcasted, then after the broadcast, maybe a couple of hours later, it used to come on pirate sites. Now it's the other way around. So piracy is going at a breakneck speed.
Absolutely. OTT platforms do big hoardings, billboards all across, and they launch a show. And the moment the show is launched, it ends up on pirated platform. Are they kind of outsmarting the OTT players that are there today?
So we have to understand one thing. First of all, technology is not a silver bullet to end piracy. So it has become a technological race between the OTT platforms, the genuine OTT platforms, and the pirate platforms. And the pirate platforms are taking all this content absolutely free of charge without any kind of investment and is trying to put it on the internet. And this is like a typical scenario of virus and antivirus. You'd have seen if you have an antivirus in your computer, there would be a new virus that comes out. And then you need to get an update to counter that virus. It's the same way piracy also happens. It's a game of catch-up. We believe that our technology is good, our DRMs are effective, and then suddenly one fine day, we realize that the DRMs are being broken, is being hacked, and the content is being made available on pirate websites. Correct. So then you need to go ahead and figure out how to plug that gap. So it's always a game of catch-up with pirates, unfortunately, on the technology front at least.
But is piracy a human behavior? Because I see a lot of people who can actually afford to pay for a subscription and end up waiting for a pirated, version to be available for free.
Yeah, that's true. And this is a phenomenon all across the world and especially in India because we started paying for content, or our habit of paying for content have started only very recently. Earlier, it was only cable television channels where you pay 250 rupees or 150 rupees and you get all the channels. And then came YouTube where, content is free. And the actual OTT platforms where the subscription-based models are being established post Netflix being launched here. So, there are so many people who are still to come on to the paid, mode of subscription consumption. And that is also a reason for piracy. And to top that, the easy availability of pirated content is also there. But the problem is that the one thing that people don't understand is that there is no free lunch. What happens when you access a pirate website is that if any of us would go to any of the pirate websites, what you will see is that there will be a lot of pop-ups and advertisements that come up. And it invariably will make you click on certain links. And that installs malware and, which mines information from your computers and devices. And that information can be used for anything. And even your personal information, it becomes very vulnerable.
Correct. I love Arsenal. I know we don't win anything these days, but I still love Arsenal, and I would love to have all the jerseys for Arsenal. But it's in my, it's in my DNA. I won't go and buy it. If it is a pirated one. Yes, if it is the main one, I might buy one in 2 years because it's expensive and you don't get to afford it. And so is one way of countering, piracy to generate awareness among your target base, or is it to go hard with the law, saying that you pirate my content and I go hard on you and take you to the jail?
That's a very interesting question that you ask because I would really support the view that yes, awareness will take us a long way because when people start becoming more aware that there are no free lunches and whatever you are getting is at a cost, and that cost may not be money, and that cost will be in another form of losing your personal information or the personal information finding its way into the dark web and your bank details and all those things becoming vulnerable. Then that will make a dimensional shift there. But just that is not going to counter piracy. It has to be a multi-pronged approach. One is awareness, definitely. Second is more stringent laws. And thirdly, obviously, the technological measures should keep on evolving.
Correct. But now you come from a background which is a media conglomerate background, and you are spending thousands of crores in building IPs that are really strong IPs. How do you tackle this situation, and what is the way forward?
So, as I told you, as I spoke about it right now, there is no one silver bullet which can kill this issue and bring about a completely transparent scenario. It has to be a multi-pronged approach. We have, as an organization, we have different ways of tackling piracy, because it is not just the money that we spend on the content that is important. It's also the sweat and blood of a lot of content creators behind each of this content. So when a person buys when a person accesses one pirated content, he may be saving maybe 200 rupees or 150 rupees or maybe 600 rupees, the costliest OTT app. That is what they are saving. But the actual loss that is happening to the media industry as a whole are in billions of dollars. And almost, in a recent study I was reading, that almost around 30% of the revenue is leaking through piracy. And as an organization, we have dedicated teams which basically track piracy on ground and online. Online, we use various AI-enabled methods to track piracy. We have a human interface with all the websites wherever there is a takedown process to take down the pirated content. When that doesn't work, we approach the police, the authorities, file complaints. We approach courts, and courts have become more sympathetic to the whole way the piracy operates, because they also understood that the evolution in technology has brought about evolution in the way piracy is also being done. Correct. Earlier, that evolution piracy would have meant that a person in the corner of the street is selling DVDs. Now it has come to a level where of late I have seen a whole movie being sent as one message on a WhatsApp message, and that is the level of compression we are talking about. Correct. As in 2.5 hours movie, I have tried to send videos of on WhatsApp, and it has always told me that I can't send more than maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes of video. But I have received a whole movie through WhatsApp as well. So that's the level of compression we are talking about, which these pirates are using. And again, coming back to what we are doing, we have tie-ups with the Maharashtra Cyber Cell. There is a particular wing called the MIPCU, or the Maharashtra Intellectual Property Crime Unit, where there's a public-private partnership that we have with them, where we have deployed the technology there to track all these things, as well as identify the perpetrators, and if they are within our reach, we ensure that we will not stop at anything till they are brought before the court.
Correct. And while we talk about content piracy, we have to understand that there are till electricity boards across the country are figuring out how to stop hooking. Cable operators have they stayed up all night figuring out how to stop somebody leaking the line from the box. So we have been dealing with piracy for a very long period of time. Now, what I want to also understand from you, it's not just the content, right? You also have a great, the IPs then translate into merchandising. And you have roadside stalls that are actually selling your characters. For example, sure. Peppa Pig, which is your character in India, but then they sell it without you having known any of it. So what is the way to actually counter that part of it?
In my view, is a much simpler issue than digital piracy, because we have had this. We as Viacom 18, we represent a lot of major brands across the world as master licensees in India, and licenses those brands to create consumer products in India, as well as a lot of other things as well. The beauty of this kind of things is that it's, at the end of the day, these are physical products. The people will have to locate it somewhere. They have to keep it somewhere. So if there is a market where we see a spike in this kind of piracies happening, we get a court order, get a commissioner appointed, raid the place. And once a raid happens, at least for the next 6 to 7 months, these people are not going to come back with our products. Correct. So you just have to keep hitting pockets which becomes hot on piracy. because it's physical piracy at the end of the day. Correct. Similarly, on cable operators as well, there are a lot of cable operators who actually leak the signals through using DTH boxes and run pirate networks, cable networks. That also is kind of easier thing to control because we know where the operators are. They cannot shift the network all of a sudden. But the problem with digital piracy is that you don't know where these guys are even operating from. And if it's a website, you at least have an URL to strike on. When it's an app, you don't even know where it is linking from or where it's linking to. So it's a absolutely what you call faceless criminals that you are after.
Correct. So are these cartels based out of India? Or is it that there are global offices that actually employ people to get in to do something like that?
Yeah, so, out of all the investigations we have done, very few people we have actually found operating directly from India, though most of the people who are operating are from outside India and in safe havens where, the investigation or the copyright enforcement may not be that strong. But they still have touch points in India because without touch points, it's very hard to get the content outside. If content has to go out, it has to go out from India because outside India, our content is blocked. Or they have to use VPNs and all and access what is on the digital platform. They can still access, but what's on television channels and all those things, they will need some touch points locally in India. But we have had some successful operations where we had actually, brought these people. Got arrests and all done where we have caught some of these pirates as well.
Does this approach need to be more collective from the industry and industry approach? Or do you think each platform should do its bit to ensure that the piracy is curtailed?
Look, unfortunately, the industry can do a lot of things in building awareness, but action will have to be taken individually because under law, only the person who owns the content can go and sue or file a criminal case against the pirate. What I believe what is more required here is stronger laws and a distinction, like even under the Copyright Act and all those things, there is infringement is defined. But what is piracy? It is commercial infringement. It's the business of infringement. That distinction needs to be brought in so that people who indulge in commercial piracy are treated differently. More stringent penalties, more stringent punishment has to be given. Even if you look at the TRIPS agreement, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, and under the aegis of that, the TRIPS agreement is there. They also, under Part 3 of the agreement of TRIPS, if you look at it, they have also said that, commercial piracy and commercial infringement has to be treated separately. So it is high time that we start thinking on those lines and also bring in a nodal agency. What we face on a day-to-day basis is that, under Copyright Act, if there is an infringement, you have to go to a local police station to file a complaint. And local police station has a local jurisdiction. It doesn't have even a state jurisdiction, let alone a national jurisdiction or international jurisdiction. Whereas the pirate is operating on an international level where he doesn't have any boundaries. So there has to be at least a nodal agency in India who basically can take action against on these complaints and block websites, under the IT Act or, that kind of a central agency is the requirement.
I actually wanted to ask you this, if you identify a pirate, what's the next step? For example, I am leaking your show and putting it out, say, as you said, on WhatsApp, and you know that I'm doing it. So what is the next that you can do? I'm not in Maharashtra. I could be in Nepal, for example. Yeah,
so if it is outside the country, then it becomes a huge challenge, getting to you. But if you are in India, like around 4-5 months back, we had a case where there was a super aggregator app called Thop TV. And Thop TV was not only accessing our content and putting it out there, but also almost all the major streaming applications, including Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, everyone's content was there. So we started tracking these guys and, obviously through MIPCO, the Intellectual Property Crime Unit of the Maharashtra Cyber. So those guys also did a great job and they, our vendors who are deployed there, they started becoming part of Telegram channels and seeing who is chatting and promoting this app. So we actually narrowed in on one person and then we gave all this information to the cyber cell. They started tracking his phone and triangulated it to Hyderabad. A team from Mumbai went there after a 3-day operation. he was captured from there, arrested from there and brought back to Mumbai. Wow. And he was interrogated here. He was sent to judicial custody. We also opposed his bail here. And after that, after the investigation, there were a couple of more arrests which was done and which led to shutdown of 2 of the super aggregator apps, which was Top TV and Oreo TV.
Wow.
So that was one of the biggest operations of till today on the digital space.
Great.
Which happened like 4-5 months back.
That's indeed an amazing success. And we have talked about piracy and we have painted a negative picture. We would like to end by you painting a positive picture. So what is the progress that we have made in terms of countering piracy? You mentioned about the 3 apps. Is there a roadmap ahead that, through which you think we can have more such apps down, more such networks down?
So the most effective thing, look, for Indian content, India is the primary market. So if the access to Indian content can be blocked on a real-time basis, then that would go a long way. And for that, the nodal agency and all those things that I was talking about is there. Apart from that, I think we need to demonetize piracy. How to do that is all these pirate apps works on advertisements from brands. So while we will not be able to identify the pirate, we will obviously be able to identify the brands who are advertising there on the pirate websites. So there needs to be some kind of law which has to come in which basically imposes penalties or makes it a disadvantage for these advertisers or advertisement aggregators to provide advertisements on these pirate websites. The moment piracy is demonetized, why would anyone want to run a pirate website, paying money from his own pocket if he cannot earn money? So the easiest or the best way to bring down piracy will be to demonetize piracy. So that is something that we all have been working on, and we would continue advocating about this, and hopefully someday we would also have some action on that aspect as well.
Wow, that's a great note. And if industry stakeholders join hands, I think it's possible to demonetize piracy in India. Thank you very much for your time. We should stop piracy, be it content or be it any other format, because thousands of people put in their hard work to earn some money, which the pirates take away. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. It was indeed a great speaking with you. And thank you. You have been a lovely audience.